U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says the Trump administration's maximum pressure campaign against Iran is working and weakening Iran's leadership. Part of that campaign, of course, includes reimposing tough economic sanctions. Now, one veteran diplomat says sanctions are not the answer. John Limbert is a former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for Iran, and he was one of the 52 American hostages taken captive at the U.S. Embassy in Tehran in 1979. I sat down with Limbert and began by asking him his take on Pompeo's assessment.
This is Secretary Pompeo's policy, so he's not going to say it's not working. He is hardly, what would you call, a disinterested judge in a case like this. So he has the policy. He says it's working. The reality is, you have to always make a distinction between what is true. And in this case, since Secretary Pompeo wants his policy to be true, or to be working, he says it's working. He's hardly, as I said, he's hardly the most disinterested judge of that fact.
So the Trump administration withdrew from this landmark nuclear agreement unilaterally, and their argument was it does not address Iran's ballistic missile program, it does not address Iran's destabilizing activities in the region, and they had many issues with this agreement. President Trump called it the worst deal ever, a disaster. Do they have a point?
Well, they might have a point, but that's all smokescreen. President Trump's problem with the nuclear agreement, the JCPOA, I don't call it a deal because deals are when you buy and sell used cars. But his problem with the agreement has nothing to do with what's in it. He could negotiate another deal, which would be objectively 10 times worse, and he would say it was better because he did it. The problem is his obsession with his predecessor. It's obvious. He is obsessed with Obama.
Let me move on to the 1979 revolution. You had a very unfortunate experience. You were a young diplomat. You had just arrived in Iran a few weeks before the embassy takeover happens. Tell me what went through your mind.
We thought basically we were dead. We were gone. That was it for us. We were expendable. And so we were just, knew something bad was going to happen. We didn't know what. And when it did, in a sense that we came out of it at the end of that day, on the 4th of November, we came out of it alive, that was a good thing. That was fortunate, because it could have easily gone another way. If our Marine Guards, for example, had opened fire on the crowd, I wouldn't be here today to talk to you. But as a tribute to them, their discipline, their training, basically kept us all alive.
And the encounter with the Supreme Leader, Khamenei, who was back then, he was a Friday prayer leader, right?
Friday prayer leader of Tehran, which is a post of considerable importance.
And did you speak Persian to one another, because you're fluent in Persian?
We spoke Persian directly together.
Did you say, "Get me the heck out of here"?
No. What I applied the Persian proverb, I wanted to cut off his head with cotton, meaning I had a point to make. I know how to take care of a guest in my home. This is my temporary home, but it's my home. You do not. You have abused thousands of years of your own tradition and culture by mistreating a guest, for whose safety you are responsible. Well, what they were doing was outrageous. I used this word about courtesies and customs, and I said, you have abused it. Iranians are hospitable people, but this is disgrace. This is beyond the pale. I didn't use the word disgraceful, but he understood it. And that was shown on Iranian television at the time. I didn't know it. But after I got out, people told me about it, and they said, we really appreciated what you did, because you made your point, and you cut off his head with cotton.